Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome once again to FreeThought Hour. This is an unusual version, so you can call it the Christmas special, if you like. Normally, it's me and a guest, and I do the interviewing, or sometimes I have more than one guest, and sometimes I have a person that I am not on sharing the same worldview with, and we have a bit of a debate. But this time, I'm the victim. So we have a guest interviewer who comes in the form of Jason Sylvester. Now, Jason is an old friend of mine. We were both board members of Atheist Alliance International. He still is. I resigned in January after 4 or 5 years of happy involvement with them. Moved on to new pastures for myself. And well, more of this will become apparent during the interview, which we recorded this morning, because Jason is in Thailand, which is, I don't know, 5, maybe 6 hours ahead of us here in the UK. So he would have had to stay up to the middle of the night in order for us to do this live, to go out at the usual time here. So I took pity on him, and I met him over my morning coffee, and I'm going to play the video that we made together for you now. If you wish to comment, feel free, as I'm genuinely here. It's just the recording that isn't, see what I mean? So there's no Jason, but there is me. So here we go. I'm putting this up now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Atheist Alliance International Podcast. I'm Jason Sylvester, a.k.a. Diogenes Mayberry, and joining me today is John Richards, who is president of Atheism UK. Just before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone, please like and subscribe. So, hello, John, and thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Jason. How the devil are you?
I'm very good, thank you. And you?
Well, as I was saying just before we started recording, I've just had another bout of COVID.
Yes, another.
Obviously, it's ruined my ability to speak as well.
Yeah. So you've had it twice, so I think God is punishing you.
Yeah, either that or I'm a glutton or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what.
I think God is trying to punish us both. So those of our regular watchers who might remember, I was in Phuket a couple weeks ago and we tried to do a live broadcast and we had technical issues, and John and I tried to record then and we were still having technical issues. So now you've been sick twice. So I think the universe is trying to tell us something.
Must be.
So let's jump into it. So you are a former board member of AAI, and now you are president of Atheism UK. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what AUK is up to?
Well, yeah, I'd be happy to do that. I was made president in August, and the previous president had been in post for 7 years. Chris Street, lovely fellow, and he resigned to do other things with his life. You know, there comes a time, and like with me and AAI, I did, I think, 4 or 5 years on the board there, and a change seemed a good idea. So what does AUK do? Well, all sorts of things. We have a podcast, like you, for example, which is...
Yes, I've been on it a couple of times.
Yes, indeed, which is a weekly affair, and I don't get to be on that as much as I'd like because it coincides with my time for collecting a daughter from school. So I was on it recently. I don't think it's been uploaded yet, but I get on it as much as I can. But that's not all, of course. We do campaigns, and actually we've got a campaign meeting coming up from the subcommittee that deals with that starts in January. And I've got a whole list of things that we are looking at doing next year, including, because as you probably know, the UK has this strange thing, an established church. Thank you, Henry VIII. And so what we have here is the Church of England is in a privileged position. If anything happens, the The Archbishop of Canterbury gets a microphone thrust under his nose and has to express an opinion. So the thing is that we've got 22 bishops in the House of Lords. We've got faith schools. We've got compulsory assembly of a C of E nature every morning in our schools. In the curriculum for teaching RSE, atheism hardly features. There's a lot of complaints that AUK has with the Constitution. Well, not a written one, as you know, but the way the UK is run. So
is there any way to get these bishops out of the House of Lords? Is that something you guys can deal with, or is it even possible to do it?
A few years ago, a revision was made to the House of Lords because at that time it was entirely appointed. It was entirely inherited, not appointed. So you only got to be a member of the House of Lords if you were born to the right family. And this was very undemocratic. Way back in Tony Blair's government, changes were made which reduced the number of inherited bishops and introduced a number of appointed bishops. So the government, any government can appoint bishops. So what you tend to get is during a period of Conservative government, a load of right-wing bishops appointed, and then in a period of socialist government, you get some more left-wing bishops appointed, up to a maximum number. But they didn't do anything to affect the religious bishops, the bishops spiritual, as they're called, and there's still 22 of those. So things can change, but politics takes forever.
Okay, so is that one of the campaigns you're going to be working on in the coming year to get these bishops out of the House of Lords, amongst the other issues you mentioned?
We have a list, and we'll have to wait until the subcommittee deliberates to find out which ones we focus on for 2022.
Okay. And you said RSE, so for our listeners who don't know what RSE is, can you just explain that? I presume that's something to do with the public school curriculum?
It's gone under a number of designations. Originally it was RI, religious instruction, then it became RE, religious education, then it became, I forget what the latest iteration is, but it's social and religious and I can't remember what all the initials stand for now. As I said,
this is religious education in public schools in the UK.
Yes, obviously the government has no control over the curriculum of independent schools. There's another thing. What you call public schools, we would call state schools, and the word public, as applied to schools in the UK, means fee-paying.
Right.
Everything's back.
Counterintuitive.
Yes.
Grammar schools, I think from the British spy novels I've read, you call them grammar schools, right? Or something along those lines.
Yes. They were introduced in the 1944 Education Act, and they were a sort of state-sponsored attempt to emulate public schools, fee-paying schools. And I went to one. They were selective entry, and what you got for nothing, well, it was paid for by the taxes. What you got was a public school's quality of education, just on the grounds of having passed the entry test.
So if these are taxpayer-funded schools, then why is religious education a part of it? I mean, should that not be? The UK doesn't have a constitution per se, right?
No, that's the very good question. Practice means that we are a secular state, and we shouldn't be paying for the state religion to indoctrinate our children. This is exactly our complaint.
And it's all COE education in this religious instruction. So it's not like a survey course of world religions. It's focused completely on Church of England.
Well, it used to be. It used to be primarily the Church of England material. But more recently, it's broadened the curriculum, and because we had to recognize that we're a multicultural country now. So the material does include a little snippet of each of the major other religions. However, what it doesn't include is enough about atheism from our point of view. So we want to redress that balance as a starting point. We would like to see, we would like to see a properly secular country with no faith being taught in school, like France, for example.
So one of you, as you said, your subcommittee's meeting. So one of the issues is going to be if you're going to have these religious instruction classes, then non-belief should be a part of the curriculum. It should get equal time amongst all the other religions.
Absolutely.
Is what you're campaigning.
If not more, because recent polls have shown that 51% of us are not members of any faith. Right. And that's just membership, because of course the other 49% may tick the box for members of a faith, but they don't actually practice it. They don't attend any events.
And do you have a sense of your MPs and which way are they leaning towards some of these reforms, given the fact that the demographics have shifted so radically?
One thing I can say is that unlike America, it's possible to declare yourself to be an atheist and still get elected in this country. Yeah. Whereas as you know, in the States, you have to pretend to be a Christian or else you don't even get on a ticket. So that's a good thing. But it's still to some extent, a vote loser, because, all of those people in your constituency who would otherwise have voted for you if you'd kept it secret, like Tony Blair actually did. For all the time that he was in government or prime minister, he was a closet Anglican. And
isn't he a Catholic? Or he converted to Catholicism? Or
let me tell the story.
Sure. Okay.
He was a closet Anglican, and his spokesperson, what's his name, Alistair Campbell, who's still knocking around in the background somewhere. He famously said when they were setting up an interview, and the interviewer was saying, "Look, can I talk about this, 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 and this?" And he said, "We don't do religion, because that's thin ice. Don't tread on that in a public interview." So that's what Tony Blair did. He was in government. He won 3 elections. He was in government for 10 years, and more than that. I think it was 12. And only after he'd left office and the Tories came in, did he publicly convert to Catholicism, which his wife had always been.
Okay. Yeah, I recall, sadly, we lost Christopher Hitchens 10 years ago this week, and I recall near the end of his life that Tony Blair and Christopher Hitchens had, I think it was an Intelligence Squared debate together. That was quite interesting.
Right. Yes. Okay. Yes, it was Hitchmas 2 days ago. Yeah,
Hitchmas, yeah. Sad time, and hard to believe it's been 10 years. So the Church of England is privileged, and your monarch is the head of that. So I'm curious, just from my perspective, has Prince William given any indication of his leanings? Like, is he's young and educated? Is he leaning towards atheism, or has he kept that fairly private to himself?
That's a family matter. I think you'd have to. He's going to have to wait until the generation dies, I think, before he can express much of a view on that.
But he's kept it close to the chest, pretty much.
Yes, that would rock the monarchy. Charles is interesting because, of course, he's next in line, and he has said that he was interested or influenced a bit, probably by Diana, who came out as saying that she wanted to be the princess for everyone. Well, that wasn't the expression, was it?
The people's princess was how they referred to her at her death.
Yeah. So Charles hasn't. He's got some very spiritual views, but he hasn't actually expressed an affiliation towards the established church. Although he has said that he would like to represent other faiths. So he's moving in the right direction.
So do you think there would be, I mean, as you mentioned, Henry VIII, established the Church of England and made himself the head of the church, but, the society has changed so much that, the demographics have swung so much in the other direction. As you said, even before the older generation dies, I mean, is this going to be like a huge issue in the UK if the monarchs were to give up this role as head of the Church of England? Or do you think nobody would really care anymore except the diehards?
I don't think so. It's not a big issue here. We've had far more politicized issues, including Brexit and sleaze, all sorts of things going on. That the monarchy is, if you plot a list of issues which are of electoral importance, the monarchy and the established church and even the constitution are fairly well down. People are interested in the economic situation rather than that.
Right, as mostly they are. Okay. So are there any other big issues that you guys have got on deck for 2022 you want to talk about, or you want to wait until the subcommittee or is like something really burning, some hot topic that would be of interest to people?
Am I allowed to plug my personal latest project?
Oh, sure. I was going to get to that. I want to I wanted to wrap up the AUK business, and then we could go into your stuff.
AUK, I'm available for talks and debates. I've already done some up and down the country, and we have a great team of guys who I'm very pleased to be working with. And they're also all available. Come on our podcast, as you have done, Jason. Everybody's welcome. We've got male, female, and in between members on there, and it's worth having. It's a good time. Okay,
so on your own things, you've got a couple of podcasts. You've got your Global Atheist News. So how is that going? Are you picking up some steam with that?
I've been doing Global Atheist News, the weekly news show, since the beginning of this year. So I've got 300 and some odd of them in the archive, and I've got better at it. If you look back at the earlier ones, you'll see how clunky I was, but I've learned the technology and the software and so on. And so I'm enjoying doing it. I scour the news for all various sources of news to get items which have a religious implication. And I gather clips and images, and I've got a number of different correspondents, including you, Jason, who handle the Roman Catholic side of things very well. There hasn't been much for you to do recently, and the Roman Catholics have been keeping quiet.
Yeah.
But
I've been a bit busy too. Like I've started a new job 2 months ago that's just kept me insanely busy. So
yes, I know that too. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's going well. Yes, I've got some other people who are interested in possibly coming on the team. Yeah.
Okay. And how's your viewership? Are you picking up followers with that on a regular basis, or
it goes up and down. I get probably it's modest numbers by the big podcasting sites. I get probably an average of about 100 on my site, but it's syndicated. It also goes on the Holy Humanist site, Nuria's own channel. And of course, because she's got a vast number of subscribers, it gets more viewers there. So over on her site, it gets 3 or 4 times as many. So this is growing, and I'm pleased. I'm enjoying doing it.
Yeah. It's interesting to do sort of a roundup of stories that are around the world in different faiths and different countries. So I like the format. It's an interesting way to pull it together. So
thank you. Yeah.
Especially, like with the Catholics, because the Catholics are all over the world too, and they're usually up to some naughty business somewhere in the world.
Exactly. Yes. There's always, I say always, there's almost always something to report on the Catholics every week. There's usually something to report on the Muslims, and then there's things going on with the Hindus, and we even get odd items from places like Australia, which you would think are fairly quiet from a
point
of view.
Yeah, we've had a couple of Aussie guests on the show the last I think 3 or 4. We've done 3 or 4 episodes with Stella, one of our board members, who's on the Rational Society, and we had a couple of former Pentecostalist podcasters, and it's the image of Australia that's like this sort of freewheeling liberal, and yet the Pentecostals seem to be in charge, including their prime minister. So yeah, they've got. They were telling me that they actually have Christian chaplains in the public schools, so similar to the UK issue with publicly funded Christianity being pumped into the schools. So
that's right.
Yeah, Australia. It's strange. I was really shocked to learn that. So.
Well, in this week's Global Atheist News, GAN for short, we've got a couple of items from Australia. One is that a councillor has refused to stand for prayers. There's this council that holds opening prayers for every meeting, and he is requested to stand, and he steadfastly sits throughout. And the other one is about a school which has decided to unilaterally abandon the requirement of the syllabus to present, what do they call it? It's not RSA, religious, their version of religious lessons. And so there's a letter being written to the Minister of Education of Western Australia requesting that instead of making attendance at these lessons an opt-out for parents whose children they don't wish to be indoctrinated, they should turn it round and make it an opt-in so that everybody has actual control of what their children get taught. And the argument is that they're wasting time, which could be better spent on real lessons.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like an interesting way to do it. So, any other interesting GAN news lately?
Well, watch tonight. I say tonight in 8 hours. No, 10 hours time. It goes live. It's scheduled. It's up there now, waiting to go live in 10 hours time. Yep.
Okay. And you have another podcast as well.
Yeah, the other show I do every week is called FreeThought Hour, and I'm going to present this interview as this week's FreeThought Hour because it's a reversal. Usually it's me in your seat and the guest, a victim, in my seat who is being grilled. So as a Christmas special, I'm going to use this one as a reversal. So just to show that, I'm as vulnerable as anyone. But it's going to be a difficult act on your playlist. This episode follows, I believe, Steven Pinker.
Yeah, Steven Pinker will come out on Wednesday night in the U.S., Thursday morning in the rest of the world, and then this one will come out the week after, so the week between Christmas and New Year's.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well done for getting Steven Pinker. He's a hero of mine, and I'm trying to cultivate the sort of hair, that many of these philosophers have. Fantastic hair. Stephen is one.
A.C. Grayling and Stephen.
Exactly. Yeah, and then there's Daniel Dennett, who wears his hair in a fantastic way, but on his chin. So as people will be aware, I'm not an academic, so Steven Pinker is a hard act to follow.
Yeah, that was. We'd been trying to get him for a couple of months, but obviously he's busy and he's had quite a few few interviews to do. So we kept pushing it out. So that was he agreed to do it. So it was nice to get him on.
I watched a recent interview with him. I forget on what channel. There's so many. But the other thing I want to talk about, if you'll let me, is the launch of FreeThought City.
Okay.
Which has gone live. The Kickstarter has gone live. And this is a project to offer people an alternative social media platform. Because, as we all know, the existing social media platforms are toxic. They're so toxic that governments are even trying to legislate against various aspects of how they operate in order to make them less harmful, because they've been damaging people's psychology, they've been damaging international relations and national society. So we're offering an alternative, which is called FreeThought City. And you can go to freethought.city/Kickstarter and take a look.
Okay. And so your website is now live, or the Kickstarter is to raise money to launch the project?
Yes, the latter. Yes, the Kickstarter is up there. We're finding out whether there's enough interest and enough sponsorship, and then we will be able to act accordingly.
Okay. So it'll be a shelter, almost like a port in the storm of nonsense out there for free thinkers to come and exchange ideas and interact.
It's groundbreaking in a number of ways. First of all, unlike the first generation of social media, which are basically text-based, because that's all that was available back in the day when they launched in the early part of this century. So if you go to, I'm not going to mention any names, but if you go to the existing social media sites, you'll find yourself typing rather than anything else. That's mostly what happens there. But FreeThought City is an audio-visual experience. So you will use your device, whether it's a phone or an iPad or whatever, because it's meant for mobile devices rather than desktop computers, although of course it'll work on those. But the idea is that you should have this with you and be able to connect in this virtual city. And so you will use it sideways, and that means that you will be able to use your selfie camera and meet people in the city, in the virtual city, in a face-to-face like you and I have got now. And there will be different features. So there's a coffee shop, there's a concert hall, there's a cinema, there's all the things that you'd expect to find in a real city. And you will be able to go along to these, meet people that you know, because it's another key point is that it's time zoned. So when you are on it, you will be able to select local, and then you will be in a community of people within your time zone. So it will be possible to meet up with them in real life, having met them first here. And that also means, because it's time zoned, it means that you will be in the same day-night cycle. So instead of when we're on the World Wide Web, not knowing whether the person we want to communicate with is asleep or whatever, these people, if they've selected local, will be able to share events going through the day the same as the other person on the other end. So the sun will come up, you will go and do morning things, you'll go and do afternoon things, you'll go to an entertainment in the evening, and then the sun will go down.
But people can have the opportunity that, say, maybe they want to meet, maybe they live in a very highly religious community and they want to find people outside, like in a different country. They'll have that option as well. Toggle to another time zone or global. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's lots of exciting aspects to this. Another one is that you will be able to build your dream home in FreeThought City. And then you get the difference between the public and the private. Because if you're outside in the city, you will be available to be contacted by anyone else who's loose in the public parts of the city. Well, if you go inside your home, then you will be able to privately invite your own people to come and share playlists, videos, have a good time with outside of the public view.
Okay. And we can have a library too with Stephen's books and AC's books and Daniel's books. Yeah.
Yes, there's a gallery. You will be able to show your own artwork and sell it from the gallery. Go in there and view other people's artworks. The gallery exhibitions will change on a regular basis. The movies will change on a regular basis. You will be able to go to the academy and learn study things. If you're a businessman, you'll be able to set up shop and sell to the citizens of FreeThought City.
Interesting concept.
It's quite groundbreaking.
Okay. And we'll put when we edit the video together, I'll put the Kickstarter link up as well, and I'll put it in the description for people.
Great. The first thing on the Kickstarter is a tour of FreeThought City, showing the vision in video form, and all the music on there is original. We have a composer in Australia who is, and one of the things we're going to do in an early stage of this Kickstarter campaign, and I've just put up the first blog, FreeThought City News, is launch a song. I think the word these days is drop a song, which the lyrics of which were written by Richard Dawkins, and the music for which was written by our co-conspirator, Brian Gervais, in Australia.
Cool. I'm sure people are looking forward to seeing that launch and the opportunities it will provide for people to connect and exchange ideas. So
I hope so.
Okay. All right. Well, it's time we wrapped up because, as I mentioned, I actually have to run. So thank you for coming on. I'd like to remind everyone, please like and subscribe. Thank you, John, for coming on as well. Atheism UK is one of our affiliates. As I said, John is one of our former board members as well. As we mentioned, I'm also a contributor to his Global Atheist News. So there's a lot of incestuous would probably be the wrong words, but a lot of cross collaboration, and like you said, we've brought Nuria together. We've had Nuria on the show, and I've been on the Atheism UK show, and you made some very good points to me that all of the atheist communities, we should all be working hard to promote each other and help boost each other's profiles. So thank you for coming on today. I'm glad we tried to connect almost a month ago, so I'm glad we finally were able to do it. So
yes,
okay.
Thank you very much for having me, Jason.
You're welcome. And as well, so as I mentioned, Steven Pinker will be on the week before this one, but you'll already know that, so it's probably been moved. So anyway, thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you all in 2022. Take care. Bye-bye.
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Bye-bye. For some reason, my software seems to have stuck. Let me see if I can sort this out. Nope, it's all gone. It's all gone completely rigid. What I would be doing now, if I could do anything, if StreamYard would permit me to do anything, is I'd be on screen talking to you, but it's gone bonkers. So there you go. I know you can still hear me, Frank. Yes, but I can't do anything with the screen for some reason. It's not responding. I'm clicking all over the place and it's not responding. Thanks for watching, Frank, and thanks for your kind description of the interview. I was really brain dead. It was early in the morning for me. You could see me just drinking coffee in an attempt to come round. But COVID does something to your brain. And I was talking about bishops when I should have been talking about lords. I said that I had 300 editions of Global Atheist News in the archive. I don't. I have about 50 because it's a weekly show. But I do have lots of other stuff in the archive. So I wish I could continue with the rest of the show for you now, because I had got some plans to show you the Kickstarter tour video, but I can't do anything. I just can't do anything. So I'm going to sign off now remotely and from the backgrounds of the production studio I'm going to, can you see me though, Frank? You can't, can you? No. So I don't know what I can do because my computer's frozen. My poor little old computer has frozen. Anyway, thanks for watching. Happy Christmas. Happy New Year. Be back in January 22. Look forward to seeing you. Bye-bye. I'm waving, although the camera won't show it. Won't even let me end the broadcast. I'm going to have to close the window as a way of ending the broadcast. I think I'm going to have to force, yeah. Let's put this, I can't even put anything in the chat. Well, I'm going to have to force quit because it's done that. In fact, it's not even allowing me to force quit. So here I am doing a hard shutdown. Bye-bye.